We like to think we've got history all figured out, right? That the story of our past is, well, settled. But what if it's not? What if there are discoveries out there so bizarre, so completely out of place that they just shatter the timeline we've all been taught? In this explainer, we are diving deep into the world of forbidden knowledge, artifacts, texts, and evidence that just don't fit.
And this idea right here, it's the key to everything we're talking about today. See, every single era, every society builds its own set of dominant truths. It's the official story, the one that makes sense of everything, the one that fits neatly into the textbooks. It's comfortable.
Right. What do you do when some archaeologist digs something up that completely torpedoes that comfortable story? Well, a lot of the time, that stuff gets ignored, dismissed, or even ridiculed. But every now and then, a discovery is so powerful, it forces us to question everything we thought we knew.
So let's start with history itself, with finds that can totally rewrite our most sacred and ancient stories.
Okay, picture this. It's 1896. A German scholar is wandering through an antique shop in Cairo, and he stumbles upon this ancient, forgotten book. And inside it, he finds a text that had been lost to the world for more than 1,500 years, the Gospel of Mary. And believe me, it tells a very, very different story.
The difference is just night and day. In the story we all know, Mary Magdalene is usually on the sidelines. But in her own gospel, she's a leader. The text shows her as the one disciple Jesus trusted with his most profound secret teachings. It got to the point where, after his death, the other apostles, even Peter, were turning to her for answers. So you gotta ask, right? Why was this incredibly powerful account just cut from the Bible? Well, some scholars think it's because it points to a version of early Christianity that was much more egalitarian, where women were key leaders, a view that maybe was deliberately scrubbed from the record. But it's not just texts that get lost to history. Sometimes, it's entire civilizations.
Imagine a global superpower, a civilization that could go toe-to-toe with ancient Egyptian in military power and technology in culture. For 500 years, the Hittites were a dominant force in the ancient world. And then, in just a few decades, they were gone. Poof! Just wiped off the map.
So what on earth happened? For a long time, the best guess was an invasion by these mysterious sea peoples. But that never really added up, did it? How could a bunch of scattered tribes take down a military giant? Well, now there's a new theory, and honestly, it's way more chilling. Climate data suggest a catastrophic 300-year-long drought. We're finding records of widespread famine, and the archaeology shows their capital city wasn't conquered, it was abandoned. A mighty empire wasn't beaten in a war, it was brought to its knees by climate change. Kinda makes you think, doesn't it?
Okay, so from the fall of entire empires, we're gonna zoom way in, right into our own DNA, to discoveries that challenge the very story of who we are and where we come from.
In 2008, deep in a remote cave in Siberia, an archaeologist finds this. One single, tiny piece of a child's finger bone. It looks like nothing, right? But that little fragment held a secret so massive it would force us to rewrite the entire book on human evolution.
When scientists finally managed to analyze the DNA from that bone, they were absolutely stunned. It wasn't from a modern human, it wasn't from a Neanderthal, it belonged to a completely new, unknown branch of the human family tree. They called them the Denisovans, a lost human relative we never ever knew existed.
And just knowing they existed opened up this huge can of worms, all these questions we still can't answer. But here's the absolute wildest part. We know they met our direct ancestors because their DNA is still alive today, woven into the genes of several modern human populations. We are literally carrying the ghosts of a lost relative we never even knew we had.
All right, for our last piece of forbidden knowledge, we've got something that is just the ultimate unknown, a puzzle that has shrugged off every single attempt to solve it.
This is the Voynich manuscript. It's a book that's about 600 years old. It's filled with the most bizarre illustrations, and it's written in a language that nobody can read. The top cryptographers from World War II, the guys who cracked the Enigma code, they tried. Modern code breakers with super advanced AI, they've all tried, and they have all failed.
And if you look inside, it just gets weirder. It is filled with these super detailed drawings of plants that don't match any known species on Earth. There are astronomical charts of constellations we don't recognize. And strangest of all, these scenes of women bathing in these elaborate, interconnected green pools. For a book from 15th century Europe, it is profoundly strange. So what is this thing? Is it some lost language from a forgotten culture? An unbreakable code hiding some kind of forbidden knowledge? Or, and this is a big one, is it just the most brilliant, elaborate, meaningless hoax ever created? Every few years, someone pops up and claims they've cracked it, but so far, the book is keeping its secrets.
So, after all of this, lost gospels, vanished peoples, and unreadable books, what are we supposed to make of it all?
Well, I think they tell us that the official story is never the whole story. Our history, our understanding of who we are, it's not some solid thing set in stone. It's a living document, constantly being rewritten by new discoveries that force us to stand back and just admit how much we still don't know.
And that leaves us with one last big question. These pieces of forbidden knowledge, they mess with our tidy view of the world. But maybe their real value isn't in the answers they might give us one day. Maybe it's in the questions they make us ask right now. Is it possible that some mysteries are meant to stay mysteries, just to remind us that there's always, always more to discover?